Sergeant Hans Schirmer joined the Ontario Provincial Police in 1996, following a career flying aircraft for a charter company where he amassed over 4,000 flight hours. He was posted to the Killaloe Detachment, where he spent 13 years as a general duties officer. In 2008, Schirmer was one of 3 successful applicants to join aviation services when the organization purchased a new Cessna T-206H to rejuvenate the aerial traffic enforcement program that had been discontinued in the 1970s. Sergeant Schirmer committed himself to the success of the program from the very beginning. He completed his initial training on the aircraft and became an expert in the operation of the stopwatch, so that he could teach and coach new observers in the aircraft. The program stretched across the province of Ontario and often required the pilots to travel away from base with the aircraft for the duration of their tour of duty. He quickly became the go-to expert for the program and could often be found planning operation schedules months in advance. Sergeant Schirmer was instrumental in assisting with terminology and officer testimony as it related to aerial enforcement measures. As personnel turned over through the years, the program remained a consistent force in the traffic safety management system for the province, due in large part to Sergeant Schirmer's dedication. Along with the other 2 pilots, the program issued over 27,000 charges between 2008 and 2013, contributing to Ontario's traffic fatality rate being the lowest of all provinces in 2013. The organization scaled back the program to 2 pilots and reduced the amount of aerial enforcement being conducted. This presented an opportunity to find additional uses for the aircraft. Equipped with a fuselage-mounted gyrocam, surveillance teams quickly learned how covert and effective the Cessna could be for their purposes and began requesting the use of aircraft on a more regular basis. Sergeant Schirmer devoted himself to the needs of surveillance as he continued to coordinate traffic enforcement efforts across the province. He learned their lingo and was instrumental in training some surveillance team members to operate the gyrocam, forming a very effective airborne surveillance platform. With this type of mission occurring more frequently, unplanned and last-minute requests would occur regularly, and Sergeant Schirmer was always willing to adjust his schedule to accommodate the needs of the operation. In 2017, personnel shortages presented an opportunity for Sergeant Schirmer to train as a first officer on the PC-12NG. He devoted himself to the training, as he had done for everything else in his career, completely. The training required operational rotations of 8 days or more at the Thunder Bay base, as well as travel to the simulator, which meant many weeks away from his family. Upon completion of the training, Sergeant Schirmer easily juggled the needs of the traffic enforcement and surveillance programs on the Cessna, while also filling in as first officer on the PC-12 when required. He maintained a positive attitude and currency on both aircraft while always striving to improve safety and find efficiencies in the operations. In the spring of 2019, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were looking to restart their Cessna 206 program after the aircraft were parked for many years. Their unit commander wanted to bring in an expert in the use of the Cessna 206 from the law enforcement community and reached out to the Ontario Provincial Police. Sergeant Schirmer was chosen to travel to British Columbia to conduct the training with the RCMP pilots. He spent a week presenting meticulously prepared materials and conducting multiple VFR and IFR flights with the RCMP pilots. His hard work and professionalism were noted in a letter from the Director General of the RCMP Air Services Branch. Sergeant Schirmer has further demonstrated his dedication to the law enforcement community by participating in Regional Task Force border operations on multiple occasions. Again, these missions often require modification of his schedule for multiple days straight. During a week-long operation in December 2019, Sergeant Schirmer was instrumental in assisting the task force with tracking vessels and vehicles of interest between Quebec, Ontario, and the U.S. These missions resulted in part of the seizure of over 675 pounds of tobacco, various vehicles, and the interdiction of a human smuggling operation. Again, Sergeant Schirmer's efforts and skills did not go unnoticed. In the spring of 2019, budget reductions forced the grounding of the Aerial Enforcement Program and significantly reduced the flying time on the Cessna. Sergeant Schirmer was scheduled as a tactical flight officer with the helicopter unit when no flying was scheduled for the fixed-wing aircraft. Having received initial training 2 years prior, he dedicated himself to relearning the FLIR camera system, as well as the Churchill mapping system. He also endeavored to learn as much about the EC-135 helicopters as he could, and was a welcome addition in the cockpit. In October 2019, he was instrumental in locating an elderly gentleman with dementia who had been missing overnight. During the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, the Ontario Provincial Police leased a second PC-12NG to augment transportation capacity across the province when airline travel was no longer an option. Sergeant Schirmer completed captain training on the PC-12, and the Force aircraft was relocated to the southern base to assist with the transportation of northern deployment officers and pandemic supplies. Since joining aviation services, Sergeant Schirmer has flown 4,000 plus hours on the Cessna 206 and more than 1,200 hours on the PC-12, contributing to his total time of over 9,200 violation and accident-free flight hours. In addition, he has filled the role of TFO for 105 flight hours and helped to locate 34 missing or lost persons. The Airborne Public Safety Association is honored to recognize Sergeant Hans Schirmer with the 2021 Fixed Wing Operator Award for his extraordinary performance of his duties, as well as his ongoing dedication and commitment to airborne public safety excellence.